that was, there's that. Good morning. It is Monday, January 4th, 2020. My name is Terry Morgan. We are here to practice Tai Chi. I'm going to adjust the camera, and I'm going to talk just real quick about what's happening next week. And my apologies for adjusting this after I've gone live here. I thought it was good, and then I realized it wasn't. We will have, this is one of the things that's going to change. I have a new camera that I'm going to get installed. It's running. I still need to connect some of the software and stuff. So that's starting next week. What it means for me and for you, for me it means that I'm still going to be in this particular room with the space that I have in this particular room. But with a new camera, standing here, you'll be able to see my feet. Yes, I have a wider angle lens on it. So that's going to make it easier for me to show certain things and to be able to work on some of the new things that we're going to be doing. The other thing that the new camera is going to do is to allow me to move quickly without having it be fuzzy. It's been a problem. I know it is a problem, and I have deliberately done some things more slowly than I might. There's a couple things I've been demonstrating that it's just blurred, and I apologize for that. The camera is supposed to help that, and fingers crossed it will. So that's coming up next week. At this time next week, Monday morning, we will have beginning Tai Chi. Right now I have set up so we have a small room practice set from Yang Style, and we've actually covered quite a bit these last few months. So I'm going to start over, and I'm going to start at the beginning. If you've got questions about a particular principle, a particular stance, what am I doing here? How should I or how might I approach this particular move from the standpoint of a beginner? Not done anything. My expectation is that there's no background in any of the internal arts, that there's no particular background in anything. Beginning Tai Chi. This is useful for a number of things. One, it's going to require from me that I bring out certain things that I may not have noticed, or I may have, in my case, forgotten about, that are important for someone who's just getting started. All right? So this is partly review for me and partly extension for those folks who would like to learn something about Tai Chi, who don't know and who are trying to wade through all kinds of misinformation that's out there and all kinds of spiels and other things. I'm going to try and avoid that. All right? And, best as I can, I'm going to explain the things that I've learned from a number of teachers, not the canned, here's a spiel kind of stuff. So that's coming up. Tuesday is Advanced Tai Chi. I've got a whole different set of expectations for what I'm going to do with Advanced Tai Chi. Wednesday will be basics. Wudang's 3 basic methods. There'll be some strengthening exercises as well as some sets to develop the skills to do Wudang's 3 basic methods. On Thursday we'll have Xing Yi, and on Friday we will continue with Qigong. So this morning we have basic Tai Chi. We're going to review the stretches that I've given, And we're going to review the first part of the form that I've given, this first part of the Yang style form, so just going across one way. If I have time, I'll get to the second part coming back, but we may end up doing that tomorrow. Put the coffee down, let's get to work. Or I'm going to get to work. Weather has been weird. It's chilly today. It was really warm a couple of days ago. Yeah. there's just that. Yeah, there's a chair there. All right. So for our stretches, these stretches came from my study of Yang style. I'm adjusting my feet here, make sure that I'm straight to the wall over here. All right, these stretches came from my study of Yang style Tai Chi. When I first started studying, I studied with a gentleman named Huang Weilun. His surname is Huang. And as part of the class, we would do this set of stretches. It's a combination of basic body stretches along with some Qigong, along with some sets that are extremely good for opening the body and giving the body the facility to move as we want to move in Tai Chi, so completely, fully with energy. Stand straight, feet about shoulder width apart, pull up through the crown of the head, straighten the back, lower the tailbone, open the mid-back, fingertips down and relaxed. Open the arms just a little bit, so that it's not this, you're not closing your arms, it's just a little tiny bit, not a lot. Hands circle to the front. Come back along the center line. Up and extend outward. As we roll over, the knees stay bent. Just a little bit, not a lot. The knees are not straight and your knees will never lock. Okay? At the core of this movement is the idea of a large circle. That as we extend upward, as we reach outward, and as we roll up, we're following the path of a circle. And this is, in fact, a large heavenly circle. Two more. Keep the shoulders down, reach out, extend the back. One more. Reach up, pull up, reach out. Follow the space between your hands. And stretch up, inward circle. Elbows drop down, wrists, fingertips. Follow your fingertips down, roll down. Reach out. Same idea here. Just change the direction. Follow the circle. There's much to be gained from simple exercises. And 2 more. Roll down. Follow the circle. Make sure that the knees stay bent. Last time. Come to center. And we're going to turn left side, right side. And circle front. Return to the sides and to center. Turn to left. Open the hip. Reach out over the legs. Follow the circle. Movement should be relaxed, smooth, continuous. It should have energy. And there should be no stiffness. Center. When one part moves, all parts move. When one part's still, all parts are still. All parts are moving. Everything moves. Some of the movements are smaller, some are larger. That the small movements are done in unison with each other creates the appearance of a larger movement. Center. Both hands return to your sides, stand straight. This idea in Tai Chi, I'll talk about this for a second. This idea in Tai Chi of everything moves, one part moves, all parts move, when one part is still, all parts are still. Yang and yin, stillness is yin, movement is yang. We need to work with this idea. In simple exercises, it's easier to find it. It's easier to find where you're stuck someplace. Right? Which part is not moving? If you're doing a complicated exercise, it's hard to find which part is not moving. If you're doing a very simple exercise, it's much easier to find and then be able to correct. Okay? So these very simple stretches have a benefit that is, I'm going to use the word subtle, because if you're just looking at the outside part of what I'm doing, if you're just looking at, okay, I got my feet here and I got this here, if that's all you're looking at, well, this doesn't seem very impressive at all. If you start paying attention to how the energy is circulated and how it's connected and how the body is connected, and how this particular exercise not only asks but demands that we move the body in unison with itself. It gives you a whole different perspective on this set of exercises. Let's do the outward-inward stretch. Pay attention to this idea of continuous movement. Pull up. And that circle and what's going on inside. Reach out. And return inward. Follow the fingertips down. Reach up. Use the legs. And return to center. Pay attention to all the subtle movements that are going on as you are raising your arms. The ribs extend up, the abs pull in, the hips pull across, the legs pull up, the knees bend and hold, and oh, I could go on. I could go on. And that's the point. Stretch up and return. Inward. Reach out. Come center. One more time. Look inward. Don't look outside, look inside. Follow the circle from inside, not outside. Stretch up. Look inward. Follow the circle. And stretch out. Come back to center. And straight. Fix my shoe before we start walking sets. Alright. And I'm going to drink some coffee, and I'm going to talk about this idea for just half a second. This idea of looking inward. When we practice, we want to pay attention to what is going on inside our own body. We have to. At multiple levels, we have to. Right? If you're going to learn Tai Chi, if you're going to practice Tai Chi, it's required. So we have physical level. Yeah, okay, I need to pay attention to my muscles and my bones, and where is this position and where is that position. This is the physical level. We also have, on the physical level, how to hold the muscles and what needs to hold and what the dynamic is for each of those movements. We have the internal work to do. When I talk about looking inside, it's the idea that instead of our normal vision, that we're looking in the outer world and we're seeing whatever is out here in the physical space that we're in, turning our vision inside, turning that vision inward, is in part looking at yourself, in part seeing from the inside, not at the outside. So as I'm moving, I'm literally checking my body. This muscle, you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. Okay, you gonna shoulder, you gonna be all right? Yeah, I'm all right. Okay, knees, what are you doing? We're not too comfy right now. All right? So I'm literally checking various muscles and things within my body that I need to pay attention to. I'm also using this concept of mind and intent to move that circle inside me. It's not an outside thing out there anymore. It's inside. It's part of what I'm doing. It's part of who I am. I'm moving it inside. So we have an idea that we can look outside and we can look inside. And both of those can happen at the same time. I will refer to some of my earlier training in stagecraft. This is something that anyone who performs begins to understand very early on in the process. That there's the outward part and there's the inward part. And we pay attention to both. And I will credit, I have a card from Miss Robin Humphrey, who taught me this. Her stagecraft was quite good. So, as we're practicing, we're going to apply this to Tai Chi. This is part, and it's not some foreign concept that I'm just throwing out in here, right? As we study the classics in Tai Chi, we find repeated references to internal work, obviously, Nagel, the internal workmanship of cultivating the mind, of cultivating the spirit, of cultivating the energy. And you can't do that if you don't look at it. If you can't see it, if you can't find it, you can't cultivate it. Right? So this idea of looking inside is pervasive. I've given you an example of theater and stagecraft, which is easier for most people to access than the traditional teachings of the internal martial arts, which are dominantly still in Chinese. Okay, so there's that. All right, let's practice. I've talked enough about this idea of inside, outside. I'm going to talk about it a lot more in the advanced class that's coming up. As we practice today, pay attention to this idea of looking inside. I'm going to do our walking sets. Looking inside, keep the shoulders with the hips. Hands behind your back, feet about shoulder width apart. Stand straight. Shift left, bend the knee, open right. Shoulders over the hip, hip over the heel. Everything's in good alignment. And it's easy to stay there. Shift back, bend the knee, pay attention to the weight. Don't lean too far forward. Your heel will wobble. Mine just did. All right. Foot has to be well placed in order to take the weight as you transfer through. If it's not, if the foot is leaning to the outside like I just did, step through and shift back, then you wobble. Some part of that is paying attention. Some part of it is more practice. And some part of it is just your own body and what your body is willing to allow you to do. Shift forward and shift back. Put down the side and straighten. So, again, I'm talking a lot today. This is the last week of this series. I'm going to try to wrap up some of the things that I found through doing this set. are some of the most important. As we're doing these walking sets, right? I called out, I wobbled, I did this, I did that. This practice doesn't matter. I'm going to take that back. This is practice and it does matter. It matters a lot because that's what we're trying to practice to deal with. All right, why did I wobble? Okay, well, my feet are cold. I got my leg warmers on and my feet are still cold. All right, and yeah, old dancers. All right, so anyway, my feet are still cold. I have arthritis in my ankle. I have arthritis in my foot. My foot doesn't place as well as it should. I would like it to do better, and it doesn't want to do that anymore. Okay, so I'm working on it. And I've actually overcome quite a few things over the last 2 years that have to do with foot and ankle injuries. So that's where we're going with practice. It's the idea that, okay, this is happening. If you don't recognize it, if you don't pay attention to it, you're never going to fix it. It's never going to go away. Because you're not recognizing it, you're not dealing with it. You have to fix it. If you want to, right, you can ignore it and it's never going to go away. That's fine. Go ahead. That's not going to get you any better level, any more skill, any more comfortable with practice. Alright, so what happened? Well, let's see. I shifted here. That was all good. Foot was well placed. Yeah, good, good. No problem. No problem right there. That's good. Nope, everything's good right there. Now, as I shifted here, I went a little to the outside of my foot, which threw off my knee, which affected my hip, and which I'm now trying to correct for, and I get a wobble. Alright? If I'm doing that quickly, you don't see it. That's the point of practicing slowly. We have the opportunity, just like with the circle stretches, just like with some of the other simple things that we're doing, we have the opportunity by moving slowly to take care of things, to fix things in our movements so that it is smooth, continuous, uninterrupted. Let's do our side step walk. Since I'm beating up on myself about my ankles, I'm going to make them work a little bit more. Stand straight, hands behind your back. Shift left. You come up on the right. Extend. Reach out. Place the foot. Transfer the weight. Hip over the heel and circle in. And we're going to go again. Right foot, circle out. Extend. Place it and shift. And bring it up. Extend, place it, transfer the weight, up, extend, place it, transfer the weight. 2 more. Back the other way. Yeah, this leg's a little more wobbly when I have to take the weight on it. Okay, there we go. Found it. Heel on the inside. I found it. Extend, 2 more. 1. And reach out. Reach out. And place it. Transfer the weight. And up. Alright, so I'm just talking about this. Right here, on the inside of my heel, I was not holding correctly. I found it. That's what I was talking about. I was looking for why when I stepped up on my left leg, why is my foot wobbling so much? What's the problem? Where is it? How do I, gotta look for it, where is it? And as we were practicing, I deliberately called it out. I want people to understand that this is a process. I found it. The inside of my heel, along the inside of my leg, I was not holding in this one little spot. I just need to pull up here. It's not magic. It's hard work. It's knowing where your body is. It's knowing, if you don't know where your body is and where your balance is, you can't do any of this. And then it's knowing what your body parts are. This is literally, and I'm going to review just half a second here. Grey's Anatomy. This is the original Grey's Anatomy. It's not the TV show. This is book. Right? This is it is very old. Not just this book. The content of this book is. It's very old, and it has some pretty incredible drawings, especially for the time. I have used this as my study book for anatomy and physiology because it gives me both the description, and it's technical. It's not, this is not light reading. This is not something you just, oh yeah, this is great. No. You have to want to know this. And the other thing it gives, as I was just showing, is these illustrations. I use those illustrations to visualize this idea. I'm going back to this idea of looking inside. I use these illustrations to visualize what I'm looking at when I look inside. And as I'm able to do that, it took me a little bit to learn. I started learning it when I was in dance. You have to. It's part of the deal. You have to. And continued with Tai Chi. Knowing your anatomy is the key to being able to do everything that we're doing. Okay? If you're not at some level familiar with and comfortable with your actual anatomy, not what you might believe it is. This is the actual, this is what I got. The level of skill that you can achieve will be limited by that. There are more accessible books on anatomy and physiology. My college textbook was one of them. It's much more accessible than this. Your choice. Any way you go about it to achieve a higher level of skill in any physical effort that you're engaged in. You have to understand your body, what it will do, and what it won't do. what it won't do is very important. Alright, so this is something that I have covered repeatedly, and I will continue to cover, maybe not quite as much as I just did, but I will continue to cover, particularly with the beginning sets, because it is so fundamental to everything that we're doing. Alright, another sip of coffee. I'm talking a lot today. And we're going to practice the first part of our small room set. From this side to this side. What we want to pay attention to, I'm going to go a little bit slowly, not too slow. And then I'm going to turn around and we'll review just a little bit each of the movements, just a little bit. And then we'll practice again. Feet together, stand straight. Open the back, bend the knees just a little bit. Pull up through the crown of the head, tuck the chin, and salute. Nice and easy. Relax and breathe in. All the way down to the right leg. Open the left. Arms up. And down. Nice and easy. And turn. Pull down left, ward off right, step through. Grasp the bird's tail. Pull down. Press. Push. Turn. Single whip. Turn, elbows in, hand circle, raise the hands, turn, white crane spreads its wings, brush knee, step up, hands strum the loop, brush knee, shift back, deflect downward, parry, and punch. Shift back, crossing hands, close the door, turn, crossing hands, both palms reach out. Press down along both sides, straighten the legs. Left leg closes. Salute. This set, and again, I've talked about this more than once. This set comes from traditional Yang style Tai Chi. It is the first part of traditional Yang style Tai Chi. The only difference between the full traditional first part and what I've given here are 2 repetitions. Repetition of brush knee and repetition of brush knee and hand strum loop. Okay? So everything that's in the first part of Yang style Tai Chi is in this set. As we pay attention to this idea of what's where and which movements are here and which movements are there and how they're connected, this idea of how the movements are connected, which movement is connected to which, what logically happens next, what's logically possible next. Okay? There's some things that we can do next that it's not going to work real well, but you could. There's other things that it just isn't going to happen. All right, that's the logical. It ain't going to happen. Right? As we raise the arms, we have the idea that we're also sinking through the back, rooting more into the heels. So as my arms come up, I'm extending downward. And then as I press down, there's a sense of it. You're not raising your heels here. Don't do that. Right? But there's a sense of pushing down. It's not flop, 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 flop. Let me raise my hands and flop. No. No. There's substance. And strength. And I've talked about this with the idea that, and I've got an error message up over here. Let me check something. Well, let's see. I had a problem with this, and I have a problem with that. Play? No? Can I reload this? I don't know. Let's find out. Fingers crossed that if I reload this page, that it will fix the problem with the stream. Oh, I just love technical difficulties, especially when I'm in the middle of something. All right, well, that was... It's telling me that there's no internet connection. Alright, well, I may have got the connection back, I'm not sure. There's some thing over here that's telling me that maybe it's back, I don't know. It's a bad delay, but I'm gonna give it a try. Alright, so fingers crossed, and it's supposed to be recording, so we're hoping. Alright, so anyway, as I was trying to explain before the technical thing happened, with all of our forms, we have this idea of these connections and how we move through the form. This concept of inside, outside, of working through the balance points, of trying to find where we have an issue or where things are moving smoothly. With the first part of this form, I've given a full traditional set. There are two parts there are two places, only two, that I changed something, and that was to take out a repetition of brush knee and to take out a repetition of hand strum the lute. So all of the movements from traditional Yang style, the first part, are in the set that I've given. Room's not big enough. Even with the new camera, it's not big enough to do the full set. I need just a little bit more space. Alright, so my point is that if you're looking at traditional forms, they have a number of advantages built in that we should take advantage of and learn from. And pardon my double use of advantage there. Taking advantage of the form means that we're looking at how the movements work together, how the form was constructed, and how the dynamics of the form work with the movements that we're given. If we start reinventing the wheel, there are some things that will be logically okay. I don't want to reinvent the wheel, but you know, all right, logically okay. It may not be exactly what it should be, but it's logically okay. And there are other things that are going to be logically not just, it ain't going to work ever. It just doesn't fit. It just, don't put that there. All right? This concept, one of the best ways that I have to illustrate it is with brush knee. Because we have so many things that come from brush knee that we really have to pay attention to how we're going to work within the context of the form that we're practicing. Right? Everybody has brush knee. Every Tai Chi form has a version of brush knee. It's one of those fundamental things. Everybody has a version of single whip. One of those fundamental things. Alright? How we do this particular movement, how the dynamic of the movement works, is part of the system that we're practicing. Right? It's, in this case, I'm showing Yang Style Tai Chi. I could just as easily show Wudang Style Tai Chi, which is different. Alright? So this idea that we want to pay attention to what we're doing, where it comes from, the tradition that it comes from, how that tradition developed the form, right? It didn't just show up one day. There was the process of people creating these particular forms. How that happened, who did it, right? Because that gives us another insight into the character and the nature of the form. Yang Style Tai Chi is big. The nature of the form is large, sweeping movements. We can do these movements with a smaller frame or a larger frame form. Those are all traditional. But at its core, the movements are large and sweeping. They're big, they're elegant, they're well placed, they're simple, they're easy to see, mostly. And I don't want to say the quality, I'm going to say the quality of the form comes through. Wudang Tai Chi, which I also practice, has a different context. We use a lot of waist, how do I say this? In Wudang style, we use smaller circles, and we use a lot of spiral movement. It's not necessarily a big circle, it's a spiral. And we also pay attention to a couple other things that Yang style doesn't ask us to pay attention to. And that includes a heavy focus on the options for turning the waist. It's highly stressed. In Yang style, it is a part of the form and it is necessary and essential. I'm going to use Wu style as another example. Wu style is a small frame form. In each case, the form was developed and codified, I guess is a good way to say it. The folks that are considered the best practitioners of the forms that we're talking about had particular body types. Wu style, slender body type. Yang style, barrel body type. Okay? Wudang style. If it's if you're a little heavier in the hip, if it's a little more pear-shaped, this is a good thing. Right? For some of the small frame Yang style, similar to Wu style. For part of Chen style, if you've got a little bit more upper body strength, all the better. Right? So each system emphasizes different things, gives us a different way of moving. We want to take advantage of whatever the system is that we're practicing. Whatever that system gives us, we want to use that and take it to our advantage. Alright? So, again, with Yang style, if we're talking about, and I'm going to start over here, I'm going to move and talk at the same time. First part, as we're moving, right? If we're thinking about this idea that these movements are large, sweeping type movements that engage the whole body, which is part of Tai Chi, and that ask us, when open, to be very open. Again, this idea of these big sweeping movements that let the body expand and contract fully as we move through each of the movements in form. This consistency, this sense of I've got, and I'm going to just visualize for a second what I just did, and then layer over it what I'm about to do. That idea of this big sweeping circle that travels is the takeaway from Yang style Tai Chi. We do a lot of things along that big sweeping circle, but that's the fundamental energy that we're looking for. Let's practice one more time. Feet together, stand straight. Pull up through the crown of the head. Relax the shoulders, relax the back. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in, salute, and breathe out. Breathe in All the way down to the right. Open left. Center. Think about that big sweeping circle. Arms up and press down. Open and close. Open and close. Follow the circle. Turn. Turn, raise your hands. White crane spreads its wings. Big circle. Open and close. Open and close. Open and close. Fresh knee, shift back, deflect downward, parry, step through, and punch. Shift back, close the door, turn, crossing hands. Palms up, press down, close, salute, relax. All right, so we have a couple things that we reviewed. I'm going to take the second part, cover that tomorrow, and go over that tomorrow. And we'll also pay attention a little bit more to this idea of this body connection and how we move, the shape of the movement, and that the nature of how that movement happens. All right, that's going to be part of the advanced class anyway, so see you tomorrow. Thank you for being here today, I appreciate it, and apologies for the technical difficulties. I'm hoping that everything on the recording is going to be good. See you tomorrow.